sad news. The submersible was found at the bottom of the ocean, and the 5 passengers are presumed dead. The Coast Guard updated us today. Let's dive in to get more details on what could have caused this tragedy. Hi everyone, Empowering True Crime, Alex here, and today is a sad day. I felt it actually all morning. I was feeling down because I knew that today was a pivotal day. Either if their sub had been found, there was a likelihood that their oxygen had run out, or what ended up happening, which is that ROVs ended up getting into the site and finding fragments of the sub. So let's watch the press conference together. We also have a statement from OceanGate, the company that created the submersible. And if you like my style of covering true crime, I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel and like this video. And before we get into the press conference, let's just take a moment of silence for the passengers who sadly died, as well as their families who are now mourning and grieving their loss. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch the press conference.
May I now please introduce Rear Admiral John Mauger.
This morning, an ROV, or remote operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tail cone of the Titan submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the seafloor. The ROV subsequently found additional debris. In consultation with experts from within the Unified Command, the debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber. Upon this determination, we immediately notified the families. On behalf of the United States Coast Guard and the entire Unified Command, I offer my deepest condolences to the families. I can only imagine what this has been like for them, and I hope that this discovery provides some solace during this difficult time. Additionally, we've been in close contact with the British and French consuls general to ensure that they are fully apprised and that their concerns are being addressed. The outpouring of support in this highly complex search operation has been robust and immensely appreciated. We are grateful for the rapid mobilization of experts on the undersea search and rescue, and we thank all of the agencies and personnel for their role in the response. We're also incredibly grateful for the full spectrum of international assistance that's been provided. The ROVs will remain on scene and continue to gather information. Again, our most heartfelt condolences go out to the loved ones of the crew. We'll now take questions.
Talk about delay in reporting the investigation of what impact that had on the government.
This was a incredibly complex case, and we're still working to develop the details for the timeline involved with this casualty and the response. And so we'll provide that information.
Didn't even finish answering.
What other debris have been found? And have you found any trace of those who were on?
So this is an incredibly complex operating environment on the seafloor, over 2 miles beneath the surface. And so the remote operating vehicle has been searching, and it is highly capable. And we've been able to classify parts of the pressure chamber for the Titan submersible. Let me refer to one of my undersea experts here, Mr. Paul Hankin, to talk about the nature of some of the debris.
Thank you, Admiral. So essentially, we found 5 different major pieces of debris that told us that it was the remains of the Titan. The initial thing we found was the nose cone, which was outside of the pressure hull. We then found a large debris field. Within that large debris field, we found the front end bell of the pressure hull. That was the first indication that there was a catastrophic event. Shortly thereafter, we found a second smaller debris field. Within that debris field, we found the other end of the pressure hull, the aft end bell, which is basically comprised of the totality of that pressure vessel. We continue to map the debris field, and as the Admiral said, we will do the best we can to fully map out what's down there.
Thank you very much. It's a very difficult question to ask, but it is important for the families, of course. What are the prospects of recovery for this?
So the questions was related. I'm restating the question from the standpoint of sometimes it's hard to hear the question here. What are the prospects for recovering crew members? And so this is a incredibly unforgiving environment down there on the seafloor. And the debris is consistent with a catastrophic implosion of the vessel. And so we'll continue to work and continue to search the area down there, but I don't have an answer for prospects at this time.
Admiral, it's Tom Costello at NBC News. Is there any suggestion, any suggestion at all that the sub itself collided with the wreckage of Titanic, or that instead it might have imploded above the wreckage and then rained down nearby?
So the question was, is there any question as to whether or not the sub collided with the Titanic or whether it imploded above and debris field created from that? So the location of the Titan submersible was in an area that was approximately 1,600 feet from the wreck of the Titanic. I have an expert here that is familiar with that area and can talk about the debris field and what the debris field indicates in terms of where the casualty may have occurred.
Wait, let's get the expert voice, please. Hang on a second. The expert voice is coming up to answer the question.
Thank you, Admiral. So the question is, where does the wreck lie in relation to the Titanic? I didn't hear the Admiral's answer. I think 1,600 feet. Is that correct, Admiral?
Yep.
So that's off the bow of Titanic. It's in an area where there is not any debris of Titanic. It is a smooth bottom. To my knowledge and anything I've seen, there's no Titanic wreckage in that area. And again, 200 plus meters from the bow, and consistent with the location of last communication for an implosion in the water column. And the size of the debris field is consistent with that implosion in the water column.
Well, if I can ask a question, in terms of the timing here, you say that this was a catastrophic implosion. And I know it's early on, but is it your estimation that this happened right at the moment when they lost contact, an hour and 45 minutes after the descent?
So the question was about the timing of the catastrophic implosion. Right now, it is too early to tell with that. We know that as we've been prosecuting this search over the course of the last 72 hours and beyond, that we've had sonar buoys in the water nearly continuously and have not detected any catastrophic events when those sonar buoys have been in the water. So,
Admiral, can you just answer on things values for weights finding
so we will. The question was, what happens from here? What's the next phase? And so right now, again, our thoughts are with the families and making sure that they have an understanding as best as we can provide of what happened and begin to find some closure. In terms of the large process, we're going to continue to investigate the site of the debris field. And then I know that there's also a lot of questions about how, why, and when did this happen. And so, those are questions that we will collect as much information as we can on now, while the governments are meeting and discussing, what an investigation of this nature of a casualty might look like. This is something that happened. I'll just remind everybody. This is something that happened in a remote portion of the ocean with people from several different countries around the world, and so it is a complex case to work through. But I'm confident that those questions will begin to get answered.
Well, Admiral, are leading investigations.
Is there any suggestion that the time factors being anything that would prevent this or save or discussing
the question was there any suggestion that time factors may have played a role or a consideration in the casualty here? And so the debris field is consistent with a catastrophic implosion of the vessel. Again, while we were prosecuting the search, we had listening devices in the water throughout and did not hear any signs of catastrophic failure from those. And so we're going to continue to investigate, or we're going to continue to document the information there and understand, based on all the information we have, the timeline.
Admiral, can I get Admiral?
So the question was, what are the resources required for the investigation, and which ships will be pulling out and staying in? And so it's too early for me to talk about an investigation. That's a decision that's going to be taken outside of the search and efforts that I was leading. But we do have a number of vessels. We have 9 vessels on the scene right now. We had medical personnel on scene. We had other technicians on scene. And so we will begin to demobilize personnel and vessels from the scene over the course of the next 24 hours. But we're going to continue remote operations on the sea floor. And I don't have a timeline for when we would intend to stop remote operations on the seafloor at this point.
Do you think there could be changes in the way these are safety rated or inspected so that this won't happen again?
Yeah, the question was essentially about, do you think that there should be changes in safety ratings or inspection for these standards? I know that there's a lot of questions about why, how, when this happened, and the members of the Unified Command, have those questions too, as professionals and experts that work in this environment. And this is an incredibly difficult and dangerous environment to work in out there. But those questions about the regulations that apply and the standards, that's going to be, I'm sure, focus of future review. Right now, we're focused on documenting the scene and continuing the submarine.
We deployed the ROV to this area. If anything conclusive in those noises, and we got redirection, and then finding that the rebuild today all happened.
So throughout the search efforts, we reacted to the information that we had available to us. And while we continue to send it off for deeper analysis, again, really complex operating environment for us to work in. Let me check with the experts, but there doesn't appear to be any connection between the noises and the location on the seafloor. Again, this was a catastrophic implosion of the vessel, which would have generated a significant broadband sound down there that the sonar buoys would have picked up.
Admiral, you mentioned closure. Admiral, you mentioned closure for the family. Admiral, can I just ask you about your comment regarding the family?
And also, we're all of the assets involved moved as swiftly as possible to the area. Was any help turned away?
This was a incredibly complex operation, and we were able to mobilize an immense amount of gear to the site in just a really remarkable amount of time, given the fact that we started without any sort of vessel response plan for this or any sort of pre-stage resources. And so the equipment that was brought on site this morning that we were using was a pelagic ROV capable of operating at 6,000 meters, cameras, sonar, other articulating arms and resources on it. And it's, we had to transport it here through C-17 aircraft. This is 2 aircraft that it took to get this up here. And so we've really had the right gear on site and worked as swiftly as possible to bring all of the capabilities that we had to bear to this search and rescue effort. And it was just a huge international and interagency effort to make this happen. So I'm really grateful for all of the responders that came out to support this and really search for the vessel. It is a difficult day for all of us, and it's especially difficult for the families, and our thoughts are with the families today. But this was an immense support, and we had the right gear on the bottom to find it.
Admiral, you mentioned the Admiral.
Will you attempt to recover the bodies, can we ask you, though? The victims, will they be recovered?
Thank you so much, everyone, for attending this afternoon. There are no future planned press conferences. Updates will be shared to the USCG Northeast Twitter page, and our staff will be available to take down any questions following this. Thank you.
Okay. So that was the press conference. Wow. And here we have a statement from OceanGate, which is the company that created the submersible. It says, "We now believe that our CEO, Stockton Rush, Shahzada Dawood and his son, Suleiman Dawood, Hamish Harding, and Paul Henri Nargelet have sadly been lost. These men were true explorers who shared a distinct spirit of adventure and a deep passion for exploring and protecting the world's oceans. Our hearts are with these 5 souls and every member of their families during this tragic time. We grieve the loss of life and joy they brought to everyone they knew. This is an extremely sad time for our dedicated employees who are exhausted and grieving deeply over this loss. The entire OceanGate family is deeply grateful for the countless men and women from multiple organizations of the international community who expedited wide-ranging resources and have worked so very hard on this mission. We appreciate their commitment to finding these 5 explorers and their days and nights of tireless work in support of our crew and their families. This is a very sad time for the entire explorer community and for each of the family members of those lost at sea. We respectfully ask that the privacy of these families be respected during this most painful time. Now, this is kind of interesting. It says here that the U.S. Navy detected implosion on Sunday and relayed information to search efforts. Official says the U.S. Navy detected an acoustic signature consistent with an implosion on Sunday in the general area where the Titan submersible was diving in the North Atlantic when it lost communication with support ship, according to a senior Navy official. The Navy immediately relayed that information to the on-scene commanders leading the search effort, the official said Thursday, adding that information was used to narrow down the area of the search. But the sound of the implosion was determined to be not definitive, the official said, and the multinational efforts to find the submersible continued as a search and rescue effort. Any chance of saving a life is worth continuing the mission. And I know that the Coast Guard is very much about that, is really about, finding and saving people. The Wall Street Journal was the first to report about the acoustic signature picked up by the Navy. The audio of the implosion was picked up by a network of sensors as part of an underwater Navy acoustic listening system, said the official, who declined to go into more detail about the secret system. The network of sensors allowed the Navy to zero in on a possible location of the noise, providing search teams with a more refined area. The Navy also helped analyze the audio signatures of banging and other acoustic data that were heard throughout the search efforts. Those were likely some form of natural life or sounds given off by other ships and vessels that were part of the search effort, the official said. Okay, so to recap, they kept saying it's an incredibly complex, that's kind of the phrase that they've been using in all of the press conferences, incredibly complex search, incredibly complex operation, and incredibly complex underwater environment. Especially you have international, it's in the middle of the remote location in the North Atlantic between multiple countries. There were multiple nationalities of individuals in the submersible. There were multiple interagency support. There were international support. So yeah, I can see where this is like having that unified command was like just having all of these different resources together. But ultimately, they said that there was a catastrophic implosion that happened in the water column. So I take that to mean while it was descending to the Titanic wreckage. And then there was a debris field. So there was pieces of debris that were outside of the Titanic wreckage. So they know that it wasn't part of the Titanic because it was in an area where that was just flat and there wasn't other debris or wreckage from the Titanic there. And they identified 5 large pieces of the submersible, so they know that that was consistent with an implosion, meaning that it basically shattered, it broke up. And at that level, at that rate, nobody can survive that type of an implosion. So they're dead. The 5 individuals sadly died from the pressure. Now, I've said this in the live today, and if there's any solace in the obviously finding answers and knowing what happened to the missing submersible and the missing crew members, is that probably happened very fast and, painless, because it would happen so quickly that you wouldn't even really be able to know what was happening. And so that gives any solace that rather than having a painful death over 5 days, So again, so sad day. And no matter what you think about the individuals that took part in it, or no matter what you think about the fact that there were or weren't safety measures on that submersible, it's still a tragedy. And loss of life for really no reason, no good reason, is always a tragedy. So they're still continuing to investigate. They're still going to have their ROVs down there investigating. They kept on saying, the admiral kept on saying documenting. So they'll be documenting what they can find down there. And then he said that there'll be some type of like an interagency, international investigation to see what happens, and again, it's complex because there's multiple nationalities were involved, multiple nations were involved in this. And so we'll see what happens with that. But definitely it seems like regulations for this type of, especially touristic types of expeditions, will definitely be restricted. And just the industry in general is going to have some stricter measures, even just industry made, not necessarily governmental regulations, but the industry is going to have to increase, will probably want to increase their standards. And then consumers are probably going to be more discerning with what type of high risk tourism that they embark on. I'd love to hear your thoughts and let me know what you think in the comments. I just ask that you please keep it empowering and remember, have some empathy and compassion for those who passed away and their families. And yeah, so if you like this video, if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, I'd appreciate if you hit the thumbs up. If you like my style of covering true crime, I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, be part of the empowering family and the empowering voices that want to support the missing, the survivors, and the voiceless. Let's be a voice for them. And with that, stay safe, stay thriving. Always follow your intuition and remember to keep it empowering. Bye for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for notifications. Thank you.